seized the laptop, which was later examined. One of Blackwell were several recorders, including a conversation between Buer and Hub in the morning of the 25th of February 2021. And that's going to be one of the photo cuts up here. In all conversations, no one's been denied being responsible. You state it was here in my life for his designer.
The answer sounds like it's been escalated.
He has.
He wasn't happy to accept that it hadn't maybe said that conversation.
Enhancements went to forensic lab, it's all checked.
Well, I can't explain it, sorry.
You're actually here on a recorded conversation. That's probably why he reacted to that at that point, and it's actually put in front of him, and he knows it's real.
You continue, nothing stupid should have been there. Zero remorse for Mr. Carson for his family. Have you no regrets of the paper?
You've been immersed in an inquiry like that for 11 months when you reach the stage whereby you know you're going to get it over the line, you're going to get a conclusion to your investigation, and that's sense of satisfaction.
Kennedy to interview with Alexander Kelly within London Police Station.
From the 11 months between first interview and second interview, Robert and Sandy again still living lives, but from this day we're pretty confident that we're amended.
55 minutes into the interview with the
What you spent a year working on, that's what the long nights or the time away from your family is all about, just trying to get to that point. So it's a really, really satisfying moment. It's probably one of the best when you're able to charge somebody with a serious crime.
Both were charged with murder and attempting to defeat the end of justice in terms of disposing of the body afterwards in the manner in which they did. Once the Keller twins had been charged with murder, the family of Tony Parsons have to be advised. That opens a lot of questions and thoughts.
It's strange to think murder and being told that someone's being charged with murder of my dad because we don't know how, what happened.
You're thinking, if it's murder, it must be deliberate. They must have deliberately killed him. So have they deliberately run him off the road? Has there been a fight or disturbance beforehand?
We were asking all the questions and still getting told, no, it's an ongoing investigation. Totally understand, totally get, but again, it fills your head with even more scenarios.
I was asked to represent the interests of Alexander Sandy McKellar. I sought him in prison where he had been remanded at that stage. I thought it was resolved by way perhaps of a plea causing death by dangerous driving and also a very serious attempt to put out the course of justice because the body had been effectively hidden for a period of around about 3 years. The Crown had made a decision that they were going to indict both brothers for murder. It wasn't an obvious murder to me. The Crown people that their actions were wickedly reckless and therefore they were guilty of murder.
On that occasion, the first accused offered to plead guilty to causing death by dangerous driving.
There was no dispute about the fact that Sandy was the driver, and so that was submitted. The Crown did not indicate they were going to accept that.
I rejected that plea. I did not think that that was adequate in the whole circumstances of the
Glasgow. So it's the highest court in the land. It's a very significant, high-profile case. There's a lot of media interest. That was increasing as the trial was approaching, when all of it.
It's difficult to imagine the agony that the family went through Mr. Parsons was and what happened to him. That was compounded as time went on. My task is to present the evidence openly and fairly, but presumably so that sympathy is shown to the passion. And that it was marred because the court of law is not a court of law.
When the Taylor brothers first came up into the dock, and we took the seat, I watched their every move. I wanted to know whether or not they were going to look at us. They didn't. Stan kept looking straight ahead. And all I wanted to do was to say to them, why?
As a family, we've had nothing from them. When you've done that, the impact that that has had, the ripple effect of that night has impacted me, my sister, my mum, my children, you know, my dad's friends.
Was the group of us went through the fire and we sat not far, 2 or 3 rows behind them.
But I just wanted to see them react and know what was going through their mind.
The evidence was that Mr. Parsons was alive after the collision and that the accused knew that. But it was not a straightforward case by any means and would be difficult to present to the jury.
Call the direct His Majesty's Act against Alexander McTaylor and Robert McTaylor. Please be seated.
Thank you, my lord. I regret that I move that the case be adjourned until tomorrow morning.
The Crown are having difficulties in citing Caroline to appear for the trial. Caroline was the key to this in terms of the evidence that she had gathered through the course of her relationship with Sandy and the manner in which she had been assisting the police investigation. So there was quite a bit of anxiety as to how things would go at the trial in relation to Caroline providing her evidence.
The second day is the day when the jury turns up and actually are put into the jury box and so on. Caroline has been cited to attend and she hadn't turned up.
The trial was underway and I actually had a phone call from the brother Clara to say Caroline's here, she's on the estate. I thought, what do you mean she's on the estate? I knew that that was the day that she had to go to the court to get evidence.
Where she was.
It just so happened that one of the gamekeepers and the officer were going up to say them off. Caroline was found.
In these circumstances, I invite His Lordship to adjourn until tomorrow morning.
Well, in the whole circumstances, I'm inclined to grant the motion. We adjourn until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning and we will assess the situation at that point.
we're going to deal with the circumstances in that particular day.
This case has been different every single hour of every single day apart from right to the end and during the trial. It was a pretty unique set of circumstances.
We thought the two of them were going to be charged with murder, but I think you die free. I just felt that something weren't right here. That, you know,
Thank you, my lord. Lord, I'm grateful for the extra time afforded today, but I can advise and propose to amend the indictment.
recognising that proving the murder charge was not going to be straightforward, it did seem to me that a charge of second homicide would be sufficient in the circumstances of this case.
Now, in relation to charge number 1, in line 11, to the least the word murder,
with the result that the case did not go to a jury as a trial, but was a guilty plea.
Okay, my lord, those pleas are acceptable to the Crown.
The difference between a conviction for murder and a conviction for culpable homicide is huge. And also the fact that Sandy Weller would no longer be on the homicide charge. They were two very important factors. It probably wasn't a particularly difficult decision for Sandy to make, even although he knew the outcome would be he would get a significant custodial sentence.
A change of plea by the accused is not an unusual thing. We do strive to try and avoid that happening at the trial. It's unfortunate that it happens at that late stage, but it does happen.
Well, I can tell you why it happened, because if you went for murder and you couldn't prove it, then the chances of getting off don't make it right.
When we found out that the McKellars had made a plea, that didn't sit well with me. My initial thought was, they're going to go down and they're taking the truth with them. So by pleading, not only have they robbed me of my father, but they've robbed me of knowing the truth.
Lord, I move for sentence. His Lordship will see that the previous convictions for Alexander McKellar are dangerous driving, driving with an excess of alcohol, and in 2012 he was convicted of careless driving. My Lord, I would propose that the Crown and defence prepare an agreed narrative, because the case is fairly complex and there's quite a bit to say. There will be insufficient time to complete it.
They're gonna get on with it.
My Lord, this case commenced as a missing person inquiry before devolving into an investigation. Around July 2017, Anthony Parsons decided to engage in a cycle from Fort William to his home address in Pillicountry. His wife, Margaret Parsons, received
received text messages from his mobile asking how she was and confirming that he had arrived in Fort William. This was the last contact she had with her husband. Around 2300 hours, Mr. Parsons attended at the Bridge of Orchy Hotel. He was wet due to the adverse weather. It was suggested to him that he should stay the night in the hotel. However, after having a coffee, he left the hotel to continue his cycle and travelled south on his intended route.
He was still shaking his head at what was being said. I know, man. It was really, really difficult to watch.
My lord, so far as the accused are concerned, the accused Alexander McKellar, after consuming alcohol, drove Robert McKellar as a passenger on a journey from the Bridge of Orchy Hotel to their home on the Orch Estate a few miles away. During the journey, in adverse weather conditions, at night and at speed, the vehicle collided with Anthony Parsons, who was, at the time, riding his bicycle. After seriously injuring Anthony Parsons, Alexander McKellar ascertained that Mr. Parsons was still alive. He did not call the emergency services, thereby preventing any prospect of Mr. Parsons receiving medical treatment.
So then to not seek any form of medical treatment from that is
left the scene in the vehicle and returned in a different vehicle, collected Mr. Parsons' body and bicycle and transported him to the Orch Estate, whereby they left him overnight. After attending with a shooting party the next day, the body was taken to a peaty area on the estate. A grave was dug and the body placed in it and covered.
I do remember the full story being read out in court line by line, and it really was, it was a real shock.
What they did was callous. That's not actions of a drunken man, not the day after. This is the actions of somebody who's trying to cover up a crime.
You willingly go down a course of action whereby you are letting somebody die. That to me is murder. And our opinion will always be the same. They have murdered my dad and they've taken him away from us.
Such was the location that if Alexander McKellar had not disclosed where the grave was, the remains are unlikely to have ever been found. And my lord, there is a drive-through on the estate, not all of it, but I will demonstrate the deposition area so his lordship will get an idea of how remote this area is.
Right, so Tony, Hepty, they left me for 3.5 years. And my kids, and grandkids, not knowing where Tony was.
And this is the deposition site just to the right of the roadway. The Peatbog area is utilised by estate employees, including the accused Robert and Alexander McKellar, to routinely dispose of animal carcasses. This was evident on initial observation by police officers due to openly visible animal bones. Between the 13th and 14th of January 2021, the body of Mr. Parsons was exposed and, with great care, recovered from within the grave.
how on earth can anybody, can any Iota do that? How could they do that? How on earth could they live with that knowing that poor Tony was buried sort of probably not very far from the front door?
Anthony Parsons was 63 at the time of his death. He was a much loved husband, father, brother, grandfather, and friend. He had very close community ties. My lord, those are the submissions for the Crown.
Robert McKellar and Mr. McKellar, please, next appear before me, continue to be the same.
I really do. And I
His Majesty's Advocate against Alexander McKellar and Robert Kellar. Please be seated.
Mr. McKellar is well aware of the family's views and knows and understands that there is no apology which he can tender which will ever be acceptable to them. But nonetheless, he wishes me on his behalf to indicate that he deeply regrets the trauma that he put the family through on the night of the 29th of September 2017. It is fully accepted by him he ought not to have been driving. By his plea, he accepts that whilst catastrophically injured, Mr. Parsons was alive at the time. Mr. McKellar accepts he did not call for assistance. The only explanation which he offers, and the only explanation which perhaps makes sense, is simply fear and panic. Fear for himself and panic for the situation he found himself in. His conduct thereafter became something of a runaway train, using his words. He says he was too much of a coward to come clean. He sought solace in alcohol and much more significant abuse of cocaine. Mr. McKellar found what he had done more and more difficult to live with, and on two separate occasions he came close to ending his own life. On one occasion he drove to a remote part of the estate and had a loaded rifle in his mouth, but didn't pull the trigger. In 2020, when he met Caroline and she went to the police,
consequences of what happened back then.
I never seen any remorse from Sandy. If other people have got a sense that he was remorseful, then fair enough, but it's not anything I ever witnessed. During police interaction with Robert, I didn't really get any real sense of remorse from him.
Robert McKellar became involved out of a deep sense of loyalty to his brother. He made a very significant error of judgment to support his brother at a point in his life where he already feared that his family was breaking up. However, that decision having been made, he accepts that he then participated fully in what was clearly a sustained and determined effort to conceal the truth of his brother's crime, and in so doing he undoubtedly caused Mr. Parsons' family and friends immeasurable pain and suffering.
It really just seemed that they didn't treat Tony Parsons any differently to how they dealt with the carcasses of the animals they killed when they were in their hunting parties.
In my submission, it is fair to say that Robert McKellar bitterly regrets his callous and cowardly actions. He would like the opportunity to communicate directly with Mr. Parsons' family in order to apologise for his actions, but he too is aware of and respects the views of Mr. Parsons' family.
These two individuals have sat in a courtroom listening to all this evidence, and are you only sorry because you've been caught? I don't know. Really don't know.
Mr. McKellar appreciates the awfulness of prison. He is witness to it every day and is kept awake most nights by prisoners in distress, screaming and banging on the walls. But he understands and accepts why he is in prison.
That's not comfort for the family of the victim, or his friends or his family. Not comfort for anybody.
Very well, Alexander McKellar and Robert McKellar, please stand. You have pleaded guilty to grave and serious crimes. I have no doubt that Mr. Parsons' family have been deeply affected by this. I have read and noted the terms of 3 victim impact statements made by members of his family. Their terms clearly indicate the profound, devastating, and continuing impact, the lasting effect of which may be incalculable. Nothing I can say or do can compensate for their loss, and I suspect that no sentence would ever be regarded as sufficient in their eyes. Alexander McKellar, I will impose on you a single sentence of imprisonment of 12 years. Robert McKellar, the sentence which I now impose on you is one of a period of imprisonment of 5 years and 3 months. That is all.
I guess on reflection for me, that is a fair result of finding convicted of serious and significant crimes, both provide answers to the family employee, justice.
A big driver who hit and killed a cyclist has been sentenced to 12 years.
Our objective investigation, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm making new memories with my grandkids, my son and my daughter. But it still hurts that Tony's not here to see it.
It's finally starting to move on. It means the day when we do actually get together as a family and we've done him proud. We brought him home. And that's where he should be.
Good morning, folks. This is briefing for Operation Work Hits. That's the investigation into the unexplained death of Keisha Doherty. So 16:30 hours on Wednesday, the 15th of November, is our last confirmed sighting of Keisha alive and well. Later that day on Wednesday, the neighbour who resides in the flat next to her hears a loud bang, followed by her dog barking. Moving into Thursday the 16th of November, friends attend at the address to see if they can find Keisha. They find the front door unlocked, which is unusual. They enter and find Keisha in her bedroom, down the side of the bed. I'll just show you some of the scene photographs just to give you an idea. Blood staining throughout on the bed clothing, signs of splatter on the ceiling. That's Keisha's position down the side of the bed, and a significant head injury to the back of her skull.
Detectives investigating the murder of a 32-year-old mother of two in Elgin say she was the victim of a violent attack. Keisha Doherty was found dead on Thursday at property in the town's Anderson Drive.
It's still at an early stage. We are waiting for the post-mortem results to come in, which is a massive part of us being able to piece together what's happened. We don't stop and we don't wait for cause of death to come in. We carry on with the investigation. This early stage, there's key evidence of pain. Got a mail that went to inquiry at an early stage due to a passport he's left within the address. Very keen to establish why this passport was in the address. In that block.
Later that evening, between 7 and 8, neighbours really discovered the village. So at this time of information we have, we're assessing that Keisha has suffered that fatal assault between 7 and 8 on Wednesday evening. It's not until Thursday evening that Keisha's body is discovered. We've got a rope for Anderson Drive. We're going to take this area and we're going to patrol this whole area here for any serious opportunities. In addition to this kind of key area as well, I think we need to start looking wider. Some of the new gathering on this CCTV protocol. The absolute critical looking forward. CCTV can be the quickest way to solve a case. The gap between our last known contact with a friend versus the
What is that?
One day I just opened it and I say I'd started reading these messages from the stray dogs. The messages were Joe Bloggs asking for his money and she was saying that she didn't have it all and he wanted that money now. On the Wednesday, Joe Bloggs had said his amigos were coming. They will not meet you anywhere else, there will be no house and you'll be alone. When he did find out that she'd been murdered, I thought to myself, this is Joe Bloggs, this is his amigos.
People to see somebody lost family member, a friend, loved one, you feel a responsibility to get those answers for them.
For those that have joined us new to the inquiry today, is Operation Burkitts. He's still been on access ground. Photographs, passports, found within the workers. His association with Keisha doesn't appear to be sexual or a romantic relationship. It appears to be socialising. He's attended voluntarily as a witness on the Friday afternoon. He's provided a statement accounting for his movement to the best of his recollection. He's provided his mobile phone conceptually, DNA, fingerprints, and the clothing he believes he was wearing.
There's no major inconsistencies in the account he's provided, so it's now a case of working through that.
We have had information from the inquiry that Keisha has been communicating with a Facebook profile by the name of Joe Bloggs, which appears to be a male individual using that profile and conducting and orchestrating the supply of drugs in the Elgin Murray area. We're yet to identify him, but it appears that she's received messages from that account in the kind of run-up to her death.
Yeah, there's nothing obvious identified from the initial CCTV trawl.
In the bedroom floor, so there's a body, a handprint identified on one of the walls. That's been looked at, so it has confirmed that the handprint is blood. That is going to need enhanced for comparison before a DNA profile can be taken from that.
What we have here is a contact mark. So what's made the contact? It is a handprint. And then when we look into it deeper, we could see some ridge marks on it. Fingerprint experts looked at it. The markings on there that we think we engaged with the market instant lab. The results of their work you can now see when you look into these images that we do have greater detail. And those images now, they've been looked at again by the fingerprint team, and they've got far more information into word contour comparisons. That will allow them then to do their work and identify the serious images. We're West Beach at Lossiemouth. People loved it here. Take our kids, come for drives out here. We're setting up Chippy in the car. I think losing custody of our kids was hard for her, and she was trying her best to sort herself out for them. And she tried and tried, and she would slip back. But she would do well maybe for a short period of time and then slip back. She loved her kids, but Keisha struggled being a mum. But she was proud of the girl. I do sometimes get question things. Why should she just let herself out to the girl? Like, I do like her, but she was up to things there. She was a good person. And you should love that. And you should have the opportunity to get her. This is another thing. Here we are. morning everyone. Joe Blogs, line of inquiry. Ira Lucy, if you've got anything that'll you think's worth flagging up here?
Peter Kells, whilst they've been at the house on Tuesday around about 6:30, this money, about over £1,000 cash, plus £120, is bundled into a package wrapped in an elastic band and a hair bobble. At this time, Keisha's actually on a FaceTime to Joe Blogs, seems to be putting them off, saying she's not feeling well, it's good to her that she's putting them off because she didn't follow the money available. And before they leave, Keisha stands on the bed and stashes this money top left corner of the wardrobe.
So potentially I've got about £1,000 swirling around on Tuesday. Where that'll take us, we'll find out in the next couple of days. When you're out on your inquiries, we'll certainly want to keep an open mind, it might not be done. Alright, thanks a lot. Cheers.
The 50-day that passes, it is unsettling knowing that the person responsible is still out there.
Police are continuing extra patrols in Elgin a week on from the murder of Keisha Dunphy. The 32-year-old's body was discovered at a home in the town's Anderson Drive last Thursday. Police are urging anyone with information to get in touch.
It's a big operation featuring officers from detectives will remain in Elgin for several days. So far, no suspects have been identified.
The thing is,
That's just one snapshot, one clip of him doing something. Any piece of CCTV in isolation can be dismissed. So what we've got here is a figure here who used to be Owen Grant on Beswick Street. This is Beswick Street heading north. You see him in the gap here. He passes that gap in the fence, which you can't see. But if you look closely, he takes a right. And that's significant because that's the direction of Keisha's home address. And it fits certainly the times that we were looking at as to when this incident could have taken place. We need to figure out why he's lying to us. Why he's here where he said he wasn't.
Want to find out where he's gone after Murray Street? Has he gone back to his home address? He lives down here in the south of Hill Road in the Sandstone area of Elgin. What has he done thereafter? You know, I'm looking at some areas of interest. He's down here at the Cotter Beach Club, which is up here. But is he going anywhere in between times? What's he wearing? Is he still be wearing the same clothing as he's wearing on Murray Street that he goes into the Cotter House? You know, I'm aware of we've got a health centre here. I think there's like a Scotland as well. We might have popped in there and we'll try and build up a picture and we'll get that viewed quick time.
Hi. We're a news investigation team for the police. Hi. The colleagues are probably close to that, so been enough few times. We've just had a bit more luck with timing, so if it's possible, can we get another look at the CCTV just to try and narrow it down? Thank you. So it's the 15th, and it's 5 minutes slow, this one, isn't it? Maybe and stuff. Hi, we're at the medical centre. So just so we're reviewing all the times that it could well be, just to try and get them. What was the other one? Camera 9? Might not even be this camera. Oh no, there we go. Oh, hello. Who's that?
We know through witness testimony that Owen Grant was within Cotter's house. He's ordered a pint.
You'll notice as well that his clothing's changed. He's now got what appears to be all white clothing on opposed to the dark jumper.
Comes in, you see the thing there has been 21:45.
So after the pub is now.
Yeah.
After the pub. And we're less than 2 hours after Snowden's heard that the notice by the neighbours. Select items. He goes on to buy cigarettes. Quite importantly, he opens his wallet and produces what appears to be a large amount of cash, almost flaunting the cash. Finally, for no reason at all, he could quite easily have taken a note. There's no need for him to actually take the money out, just take a note. We know by this point that he's struggled to pay his rent. He's tried to get an agreement with his landlord to suspend payment of rent for a period of time. So to go from no money to about a lot of cash, it's quite important for this investigation and quite a landmark moment as well to see that on camera.
much this direction here will have a male come into the screen. Carrying some in a bag or similar, just so you see him started at that bin and he appears to reach in and ensure that whatever he's putting is right in it.
That's quite telling, that kind of actions there. You can see he's really reaching into the bin. It's almost he doesn't want anyone to see what's actually going in the bin and making sure it goes right to the bottom. Really keen to see if we can recover the contents of that bin. I know we're a fair few days on now, and see if it has been uplifted and if it has where it's gone, and see if we can recover what it is, because I think whatever he's putting in there is going to be hugely significant. We got an account from him, which is now starting to unravel. And yeah, we move forward with one grant and we see where it leads us. Good morning. We'll just get straight into significant updates and developments. So, following discussions with the Honourable Bristol and me presenting what we know of facts and evidence and inconsistencies surrounding Owen Grant, the Fiscal is also content that I can now formally call Owen Grant suspect in this case. Once you declare somebody a suspect, you're effectively ruling out anybody else. At that stage, the you may have been focusing on, you're directing the inquiries now to one suspect, and you're now on the case to inquiries to evidence that way. It's clear from how we've presented the CCTV evidence, Owen's movements and everything around the account that he's provided us, there's a number of inconsistencies. Now, what we have to say now is that it's clearly all circumstantial at this stage. So in terms of that circumstantial case, can't guarantee at this stage we will get any physical or forensic evidence to back that up and corroborate what we already know. Owen Grant places in an item into that bin outside Scotland. The bin was taken away the following day, taken to a recycling centre in Belfast, Inverness. Inquiries from Claudia has followed the trail of where that waste has gone. It's then taken down to Motherwell, then uplifted, taken to Glasgow, shredded. So we're following the trail there, but likely we'll never get that item back at this stage. We know where we are now. Their focus is to try and evidence everything around Owen Grant and his movements. You're building that picture around him because what he says he's done and what you can now prove he's done are in conflict. But at this stage, if we took him in, I wouldn't say we wouldn't have enough to charge him with the murder of Keisha.
Looking for any bloodied articles, including but not exclusive of clothing and tissues, cash, hair bands, which they're believed to use to wrap cash, and controlled drugs or associated paraphernalia. And obviously, because you can't stick out you think that's a bit stretchy, then just stop. Okay. Fully white suits, boots, gloves, and mask. So while this down the line, you just speak to these symptoms, what are the signs that are starting to come to that Owen Grant? The circumstantial case is starting to build, but we're still needing just that physical evidence to bring it all together, put it in that list of people that we know. So this is the main bedroom where she was found. Physical evidence would be the defining
moment in whether Owen Grant is arrested and charged with murder or not. That's how significant a piece of physical evidence can be around the circumstantial evidence you've already got. We know Owen Grant's an associate of Keisha's, he's been in the address. We look for something more significant to put him in the address, to actually forensically link him to the address at that stage.
So if we're done, we will head out.
Worry is that if you have nothing else to support your circumstantial evidence, you might not have enough to detect the murder. You might not have enough to say Owen Grant is undoubtedly responsible for this. Excellent. All right, cheers, man. Doesn't get much better than that yet until we're expecting from the local. Try and like get some rich detail from it, so that's just been analysed. We've got a positive from Owen Grant, so slightly changes things, our plans, things are going to pick up a bit of pace probably over the next 24 hours, and as we look to progress it, but no, really positive. The only people I can realistically say is people handing that blood would be one of the female witnesses who found Keisha, or accused, because why else would you have blood on the wall in that palm print? He's the person we declared as a suspect this morning. Significant. Why is there blood? It's just a blood. None. One part of it, but then for that fingerprint identification to be made in Keisha's blood, huge. That's a bit related to the rest of the investment, really good, really tight, but how do you talk to something? It's a very difficult explanation to say, because when you told us he wasn't there. Maybe therefore him being his work on Friday. That's the simplest, easier to take from his work. So from the crime scene imagery, if you viewed it, there's a blood-stained palm kind of handprint, and an identification came back on that handprint for Owen Grant yesterday afternoon. That pushes us on to what we're going to be planning today. A team led by DS Davey Anderson will oversee the arrest of the suspect and the subsequent interview. Okay, right. Good luck, everyone. Thank you. You're telling the people out to arrest somebody you said brutally killed somebody in their own home. So for somebody to go to that level of violence and then present themselves as a normal member of society is uncertain, and you don't know how they're going to react. Hello, hi Andy, how you doing, mate? Fine. Yeah, that's the call for this. Weeks of work we've been building up to this, so it's an important
important moment in the case, and we're looking forward to getting our hands on all of that.
We did agree on that. We discussed the significant impact of this land that left over of Ireland, murder in the Article No Crimes area of Scotland. We can't allow him to be left in the streets.
Hi, Owen, how you doing? Good lad. You want to just move up a bit? Right, Owen, I'm David Gladder from the Major Investigation Team from Dundee, okay? And we're going to be taking you back to Inverness Police Office. And the reason for that is I'm arresting you under terms of Section 1 of the Criminal Justice Scotland Act 2016 for the murder of Keisha Donaghy. The reason for your arrest is that I suspect you have committed an offence, and I believe that keeping you in custody is necessary, proportionate for the purposes of bringing you before a court. Do you understand that? Okay. I'm going to put that. I'm going to move it if you're going to put handcuffs on you. No, just keep your hands off the table. Scott, thanks mate, much appreciated. He's got really good. What I'm done with it, it was like this. It was like the trims. Yeah, it was in here from next door I know. I didn't do it. I've not done it. Perfect. Right. See it under my eye. We can hold suspect for 12 hours, however, we can extend that in the right circumstances for a further 12 hours. There is no element of pressure. All me and the team that are coming to Inverness, the intaking and pulling up. I'm really excited for Owen to tell us either what's been done or if he's going to tell us he didn't do it. That's an opportunity for him to provide defense when we get to custody of the person. Absolutely nobody deserves to get what happened to Keisha. And I think that's family. There's lots of inspiration for why he's done this.
This is the analysis line.
Right on. 9/17/09. Owen, tell me what your involvement is in the murder of Keisha Donaghy. Can you just speak up a bit more for the picture? Thank you.
grazing them at all.
CCTV also shows you in Murray Street at 20:01:45, a short distance from Keisha's and walking in the direction of her flat.
Very relaxed, emotionless almost.
A witness hears banging and voices and a dog growling from Keisha's, followed by the sound of her door being closed or shut. CCTV shows you 20:33:15, a short distance from her flat and walking away from her flat. So for a 30-minute period you've been in and around of Keisha's. CCTV then shows you walking into camera view near Stockmid on Thornhill Road, Elgin, placing something in the bin outside Stockmid. Tell me about that.
He's offering nothing. He's not answering the questions. You're fighting for your life at the end of the day. You're going to be putting up a wee bit more fight than that.
There's no trace of your rucksack, your workbooks. Have you disposed of them?
Why would you not answer that if you've not done it? That's sometimes what you don't say that's most telling.
I also put it to you that you were aware that she was in possession of cash and or drugs, and you have attended at a home address to steal them. I'd also like to add, Owen, that a palm or handprint in blood has been found within her flat, which has been matched to you.
Yeah, well, at that point, it's difficult to get out of something like that. Definitely difficult to get out of something like that.
No one should be left in their home address, bludgeoned, battered to death. Right? No one. That's somebody's family member. This is Detective Constable Flag Glover, concluding the interview with Owen Brown.
You can see him rolling. Yes. I could see that remembering it. Like I was saying, like, you know, I said him, maybe he was SMS on the bedroom phone like that. I could see him going.
Hi, Willie. Just pick for a minute. Go on the garden out, Charles. Case of brother.
Any reply?
No.
No, well, that's fine. I think that's what we expected.
Yeah.
Sure, bye, bye.
Bye. Taking a every child, you just don't know how much you use the evidence. It's out of control, you can't do anything from your hands to do that. So, the medicine is just the nervous breakdown. So much over the last year and a half, waiting for this day, and it's now upon us. The verdict came in and it was guilty. So, great relief, that we've got now a bit closer to the family, and all the work that we've done the last year and a half together.
vicious killer was jailed for life yesterday for the horrible murder. A judge ordered that Grant 43 must serve at least 24 years in jail before seeking parole. During the trial, it can now be reported that Grant was previously jailed for 8 years for arson to the danger of life at Warrington Crown Court. To find out past things that Ian had done, I wish he would have